this is GILA. I haven't posted here for a while, but I have been watching online from the relatively free democracy that is the State of Israel, which still respects freedom of speech, many of the crazy developments taking place elsewhere, and especially in the USA. Frankly, I found it shocking to watch the relatively swift demise of the USA, once a bastion of freedom and an advanced superpower, but now, thanks to definite problems in maintaining real democracy when choosing who to vote for in recent times, most notably in 2020, and the failure by many people in positions of influence to do anything about it, or by some even to recognise it, more and more misuse of the law by those in power to try to destroy opposition to the current junta is becoming ever more outrageous. This is how evil usually works. More and more power is misused, and those who dare oppose the growing oppression by the government become targets for destruction. Like a frog who, if it jumps into boiling water, will immediately leap out again, but will boil to death if the water is heated gradually over time, each incursion, each oppressive move, colluded with by the propaganda purveyors of the largely deeply leftist mainstream media who ceased being real journalists years ago, by itself may not seem so menacing to most Americans, but the overturning of freedom and democracy is gaining steam and is now becoming more and more obvious. The appalling indictments of President Trump to try to prevent him from running again in 2024, part of the continued attempts, which began almost as soon as he famously came down that escalator, to try and destroy him politically when he actually had and still has very good grounds to question the security, fairness and the outcome of 2020, are so ridiculous that any at least reasonably objective press would surely laugh them out of court immediately. While the real crimes of the Biden family are becoming more and more obvious, and more Americans appear to be waking up to the very real danger to the continued existence of their republic, those of us watching this whole absurd charade unfold from afar can hardly believe what we're seeing. This is certainly a very interesting time to be watching the USA and indeed the world, but also becoming an ever more dangerous one, as the latest gaffes in Hawaii by the obviously senile, corrupt and ever more clueless US Commander-in-Chief show, even though he's clearly only a puppet, let alone the appalling support for the genocidal Iranian regime, which seeks to annihilate my own country of Israel, and more besides, the pouring of billions of hard-earned US tax dollars into the Ukraine for no really good American strategic reason, and the resultant push of Russia towards China, and much else besides, will most likely lead to an utterly devastating World War III that will destroy most people in the world, probably, before long, if the appalling corruption and destruction of the once free USA by those in power isn't stopped. Today's battles are not largely physical ones as they were during the US War of Independence against what was then the tyranny of my own country of Britain, but they are no less real. If you're an American and you're not actively doing all you can to stand up lawfully but strongly and persistently against the growing unjust takeover of your country by a frankly corrupt and illegitimate oppressive autocracy suppressing your own freedom and human rights more and more, then ultimately you will be part of the problem rather than the solution. There really is no more time to sit on the fence. And if the USA falls completely, so ultimately will the rest of what is left of the free world. Thank you so much for listening.